Hello and welcome to Uzreport World News. My name is Barnona Zarzoda. The mausoleum of Alisher Navoiy, located in Afghanistan, is to be reconstructed through the budget funds of Uzbekistan. The Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev announced this as he scrutinized the projects in the field of tourism and urban infrastructure.
The task to study the possibilities of construction and improvement works in the Alisher Navoiy Memorial Complex in the Afghan city of Herat was defined in the President's decree on wide celebration of the 580th anniversary of the birth of great poet and thinker Alisher Navoiy, dated October 19th last year. According to the project presented, pedestals in the form of open books with the wise words of Alisher Navoiy and decorative benches would be placed at the entrance and in the courtyard. The restoration of the mausoleum would include the elements of traditional architecture, art, and decor. One of the projects involves the construction of various infrastructure facilities along the Chirchik River of Tashkent. The length of the river section is running through 6 kilometers. It is now planned to narrow the river bed, build modern housing on the newly opened territory, create recreation production and service zones. Presentations included the project for the reconstruction of the bridge over the small ring road leading to the Tashkent International Airport. It aims at simplifying the movement of vehicles and increase safety on this site. The current structure was built in 1967. With the development of the capital and the wars in the number of cars, the need arose to build a roundabout at the intersection of the bridge with small ring road. The overpass would be lengthened to 650 meters and its width to 30 meters. The President also presented with investment projects in the Technopark. The government now plans to produce 1 million washing machines annually. Plans include 15,000 tons of copper pipes, 75,000 commercial refrigerators, and many other types of devices. Presentations revealed that this year's agenda eyes at creation of more than 2,000 jobs.
The minimum consumer spending in Uzbekistan was determined at 440,000 soms, or $40 per month. According to a survey conducted by the Ministry of Economic Development and Poverty Reduction, this amount would be enough to cover daily consumption of food, non-food products and services.
With the support of the World Bank, the ministry as an experiment has conducted a survey among 5,400 households selected from all regions of the Republic. These households were divided into 10 groups according to the amount of expenses, and 30% of the households with the lowest expenses were allocated from these families, the ministry said in a statement. It added that the ratio of these expenditures to GDP per capita was 26.8%, while in developing countries this figure stays at 4 to 20%. To complete the experiment, the ministry plans to conduct a survey of 10,000 households by the end of this year. Based on their results, it will approve the methodology for calculating minimum consumer spending and publish the recalculated amount. Earlier this year, the Federation of Consumer Protection Societies of Uzbekistan calculated the minimum consumer basket amount. According to its estimates, the amount of the consumer basket in the most populous Central Asian states is about 2.1 million Uzbek soms, or $200.
The Asian Women's Boxing Championship ended in Dubai, United Arab Emirates on Monday, bringing in a total of 8 new bronze, silver and gold medals to Uzbekistan's female athletes. According to the Republic's Ministry of Tourism and Sports, Sitora Turdubekova defeated her rival from neighboring Kazakhstan, Vladislava Kukhta, in the 57-kilogram weight category with a score of 5-0, what made the Uzbek athlete a gold medalist in the finals. The representatives of the national boxing team also won 5 silver and 2 bronze medals. The 31st edition of the Asian Amateur Boxing Championships was held from 24th to 31st May 2021. It was the second time in the tournament history that men and women fought in the same championship. Over 2.4 thousand women in Uzbekistan are now engaged in research activities. This has been stated by the Republic's Minister of Innovative Development, Ibrohim Abdurahmanov. In 2020-21, the number of women registered in the Unified Electronic System for Coordination of Postgraduate Education engaged in research activities has reached 2,456. The Senate press service said following the minister's speech. To date, 271 women in the country have a doctorate in science and PhD degree, the publication says. Last month, Uzbek Senate approved the strategy for achieving gender equality in Uzbekistan until 2030, which envisages increasing the number of women with doctor degrees to 1.4 thousand and women with a Doctor of Philosophy degree to 3.7 thousand. Uzbek legislators have approved the bill on precious metals and stones, a document aimed at preventing the growth of the shadow economy in the jewelry sector, as well as advancing the testing services, labeling system and quality control procedures through a public-private partnership. Besides, the document encourages creating a favorable environment for raising foreign investments and improving long-term competitiveness of the local industry. Business entities with no state share in authorized capital or those holding less than 50% state share would be granted a right of setting the order of spending, accounting and storage of precious metals and stones. The best practices of Belarus, Canada, India, Kazakhstan, Moldova, the Russian Federation, Italy and Turkey, as well as 19 states that have ratified the Vienna Convention, were considered in the development of the Act. The law would also allow the private sector to conduct business activities following the best practices of transparency, the senators noted. Uncommon animals and birds have been caught on 20 photo traps installed in Saiga Reserve in Ustyurt Desert in the Republic of Kyrgyzstan. These include red-listed saigars, which are included in the red list of the International Union for Conservation of Nature. In fact, they have not been seen in Ustyurt in the last 5 years. Also, photo straps recorded rare representatives of the fauna of the reserves, foxes, eagles and geese. There are currently only 500 saigars left in Uzbekistan. Overall, the global saiga population is now estimated at about 100,000, with the most of animals in Kazakhstan. Uzbekistan Airports has become a single executive body of all airports. This was achieved by signing management agreements with all international airports operating in Uzbekistan. The company, as a single body, would control the completion of the development strategy of all airports, their financial flows and the introduction of new technologies. A very important step has been taken for the development of airports in Uzbekistan. A legal basis has been created for the development of airports from a single center, said Rana Juraeva, chair of Uzbekistan Airports Board. Earlier this year, the Uzbek government made the Uzbekistan Airways and Uzbekistan Airports separate. The country now aims to serve 1.9 million passengers this year. Vaccinations on the third dose of coronavirus vaccine have kicked off in Uzbekistan. The initial phase date was on April the 1st. So far, more than 1.3 million people have been vaccinated in the country. As of Monday, 190,120 people were vaccinated. Almost 33,000 of them received the first dose. To date, the total number of vaccine doses used is over 2,000. Fergana region is at the top in vaccination numbers. The population is being vaccinated with the Uzbek Chinese, AstraZeneca and Sputnik V jabs. Uzbekistan received 70,000 doses of Sputnik V vaccine on Tuesday. Now vaccine reserves comprise 4.3 million doses overall. The recent records on the coronavirus cases show 211 more people.
3 gunmen opened fire outside of a concert near Miami, Florida early on Sunday, where authorities said 2 people were killed and over 20 wounded. Local media reported no arrests have been made so far. Miami-Dade police confirmed on Monday to have found the shooter's white SUV, a Nissan Pathfinder they drove to an album launch party at the El Mula Banquet Hall. County Mayor Levine Cava.
We will leave no stone unturned. We will leave nothing behind to bring these shooters to justice.
Video footage was released showing 3 masked suspects exiting the white SUV on Sunday, brandishing weapons. 10 seconds after leaving the vehicle, they rushed back and sped off. Police say that's all the time it took for them to open fire on the crowd waiting to get inside the venue. The SUV was later found submerged in a canal and confirmed to be the vehicle driven by the suspects. It had previously been reported stolen on May 15th. The Florida shootings are the latest in a string of over 200 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year, according to a nonprofit research report.
The first National Olympics team to arrive in Japan since the Games were postponed touched down on Tuesday. Australia's softball squad waved to the media before making their way to a nearly 2-month training camp in central Japan. Everyone on their team and their coaching staff has been vaccinated, and officials say they'll be required to take a COVID-19 test every day of their stay. Before they left home, Australia's Olympic team leader, Ian Chesterman, said the squad was comfortable with Japan's protocols to protect them and locals.
And I think that these athletes as well know that they have to take great responsibility for their own behaviour as well. They're committed to do that. They're committed to not only look after themselves but do the right thing by the Japanese population as well and be ready for the Games.
Meanwhile, Japan is battling a fourth wave of infections, with 10 regions, including Tokyo, under a state of emergency until near the end of this month. The country's vaccination rollout has also been slow, with only about 3% of the population fully vaccinated. Japan's Olympic teams will receive their jabs this week, while a top government spokesman said vaccinations at workplaces and universities will roll out near the end of this month. In a recent poll published by local media, a majority of Japanese people surveyed were against holding the games as planned. As for Australia's softball team, they're scheduled to play their opening game on July 21st against the host country, Japan. The COVID-19 death toll in Peru surged on Monday at a rate much faster than expected, following an official government review. The government nearly tripled its official number of deaths from the day before, which now makes Peru the country with the highest death rate per capita in the world. Officials say the updated tally has jumped dramatically because until now, a lack of testing has made it difficult to confirm whether a person has died from the virus. Peru's top data official, Marushka Chocobar, announced at a press conference on Monday that over 180,000 people have died from COVID-19, up from just under 70,000 reported deaths the day before.
With this figure, we can see that according to the application of official criteria and the proposed data series that is being carried out through this working group, we can from now on have a daily figure that reflects the reality closest to what is happening with the pandemic in our country.
Peru had already been among the hardest-hit Latin American countries, with its hospitals overcrowded with patients and oxygen low in supply. Brazil still has the highest total deaths in Latin America, but based on population and the updated tally, Peru's per capita death toll more than doubles that of Brazil.
I think this cruel behavior, I cannot call it in other words, this cruel and cynical behavior of the regime shows the desperation of the regime. Desperation that probably they don't believe that they will survive in the long run. But what they are doing right now, they are trying to survive at least in the short run. And with the help of Russia, of course.
They should be sectoral and they should be targeted towards...
It will be sufficient or not, those actions we take the decisions recently? I'm not sure, but at least what we should do, we should put the price of the consequences for these actions of Belarus regime as high as possible. Probably we don't have so far the evidence that Russia was involved in this concrete event, but the reactions which are coming from Kremlin and from Russian official sources show that the methods and the style are the same. Belarus is applying and Russia is applying.
The reaction to this event was enough?
Recent events show and prove that Belarus regime is ready, I would like to stress it, to use nuclear power plant as a weapon, as an instrument or the source of blackmailing of neighbors, and not only nearest neighbors, but whole European Union. And this is huge danger, and we have to do everything we are able to do in order to stop the flow of this electricity into continental market of Europe.
Denmark helped the US spy on Europe, including German Chancellor Angela Merkel. That's according to Danish state broadcaster DR, who reported the US National Security Agency used a partnership with Denmark's Foreign Intelligence Unit to spy on senior officials of neighbouring countries. The findings are the result of a 2015 internal investigation in the Danish Defence Intelligence Service into NSA's role in the partnership. It covered the period from 2012 to 2014 and said the NSA used Danish information cables to spy on senior officials in Sweden, Norway, France and Germany. DR cited 9 unnamed sources with access to the investigation. This isn't the first time allegations like this have emerged. In 2013, the US whistleblower Edward Snowden alleged tapping of the German Chancellor's phone by the NSA. The internal investigation in the Danish Defence Intelligence Service was launched in 2014 following these leaks about how the NSA works. The German government says it's following up on the report, while the Danish defence minister declined to comment on speculation about intelligence matters in the media. The media report said the NSA intercepted calls, text and chat messages to and from telephones of officials in the neighbouring countries. In Washington, the NSA and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence declined to comment.
The discovery of a mass grave for 215 children in Canada last week at a former school for Indigenous children is prompting calls for a nationwide search at other similar institutions for more burials. Indigenous groups in Canada are leading the calls in an episode that has shocked the country. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says a search would be, quote, an important part of discovering the truth, but did not make specific commitments. Grand Chief Stuart Phillip, the president of the Union of British Columbia Indian Chiefs, said the Indigenous communities are working to figure out how to investigate. The discovery was first announced by the Tequamlus Tesequapum First Nation, prompting some people to lay hundreds of tiny shoes and flowers in public squares and in front of the Kamloops Indian Residential School, where some as young as 3 years old were buried. Between 1831 and 1996, Canada's residential school system forcibly separated children from their families. Children were subject to abuse, malnutrition, and rape. A commission tasked with investigating the system called it cultural genocide in 2015. The 4th volume of the commission's report identified 3,200 children who died at residential schools, about a third of whom were not named. 900 more children have been identified since the report's publication 6 years ago.
Naomi Osaka said on Monday she was withdrawing from the French Open and wrote on Twitter that she would be taking some time away from the tennis court. A stunning move by the 4-time Grand Slam champion, who also said she had, quote, suffered long bouts of depression. Her decision came a day after she was fined $15,000 for not holding a press conference after winning her first-round match. Officials also threatened to expel her from the French Open and future majors if she continued to refuse to attend news conferences after her matches. But on Monday, the world number 2 decided to take matters into her own hands to end the standoff, saying in a post on Twitter, quote, "This isn't a situation I ever imagined or intended when I posted a few days ago. I think now the best thing for the tournament, the other players, and my well-being is that I withdraw so that everyone can get back to focusing on the tennis going on in Paris." Osaka, one of the biggest names in women's sports, went on to say she had suffered from depression since the US Open in 2018, which she won by beating Serena Williams in a controversial match. The French Tennis Federation, organizers of the tournament, called Osaka's withdrawal unfortunate, adding, quote, "We wish her the best and quickest possible recovery, and we look forward to having Naomi at our tournament next year." Osaka closed her statement by saying, quote, "I'm going to take some time away from the court now, but when the time is right, I really want to work with the tour to discuss ways we can make things better for the players, press, and fans."
Tesla is lifting prices for its cars under pressure from rising costs in the supply chain. That is according to a tweet by boss Elon Musk. He cited rising raw material costs as a problem for the whole industry. In May, Tesla put up prices for its Model 3 and Model Y vehicles. The Electrek website says that was its 5th price rise in just a few months. During an earnings conference call in April, Musk said Tesla had experienced some of the most difficult supply chain challenges, though he said the firm had largely overcome issues with the global shortage of computer chips. In his latest tweet, Musk was responding to a Twitter user who complained that Tesla was removing features from its cars even as it put prices up. It has, for example, recently removed lumbar support from front passenger seats in one model. Musk says Tesla just removed equipment where data showed that it added cost but got little use.
And this was our last report. Thank you for watching and goodbye.